Today, I'm going to take you through my top 10 list of things that I would change about DBD if I was given the chance. Let me know in the comments which ideas you guys like, and if I missed any ideas, feel free to drop them there as well. And without further ado, number 10. I'm going to start this list off with something that a lot of people have been asking for a long time now, and that is a rework of some of the Moris. I'm sure back in 2016, Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly, their Moris were super cool for their time, but with some of the new ones we have now, Deathslinger's Mori, Oni's Mori, they're just so cool, and the old Moris just don't live up to the standards of the new ones. So I'd really like to see Behavior rework some of the Moris of the original killers. I could see them doing some really cool things with Trapper, with a trap, maybe like pushing a survivor's head into a trap. It would be just absolutely disgusting, but super cool. But I'm not going to stop there. Something even further that I would like to see is custom Moris. I'm not exactly sure how this would work. Maybe it would have to tie to prestige. Like if you hit prestige 25, 50, or even 100 on a killer, you could unlock a custom Mori that would just be different than the original, or maybe even unlockable Moris in rifts. I just think this would be super cool and would maybe make people bring Moris more often because we never really see them much anymore in DBD. Coming in at the number 9 spot is mixing up Totem Spawns. How many times have you loaded into a killer match with Devour Hope and heard it get cleansed before you can even find a survivor? Now this may still happen, but I feel like we need to mix up the totem spots a little more often. For anyone who plays this game, even a decent amount, you know where totems are going to spawn for the most part. I feel like every chapter or every mid-chapter Behavior could just mix them up. Throw totems in spots where we're not going to expect them. And this just might help spice up the game a little bit. Survivors would have to look a little bit harder for them, and killers' hex perks will stay up for a little bit longer. This next one, coming in at number 8, is something I think would be really cool for DBD. And that is exclusive cosmetics. The only exclusive cosmetics we currently have in DBD are the legacy ones. And for those, you just had to play the game back in 2016 and prestige your characters before the original Bloodlust Changes happened. Anyone who prestiged their characters before would receive legacy, and anyone who prestiged their characters after would never ever have the chance to get it. And I think that's just such a cool concept. For the players who played back then, they get to really show off their dedication to the game. I have a couple points I want to touch on for the exclusive cosmetic section, but the first one is the rifts. I just simply cannot understand why Behavior is bringing back rift cosmetics. I lied. I can't understand. They're just money hungry. But how cool would it be if you only had the month or two that the rift was open to get these cosmetics, and then never again? Just like Legacy, survivors who played during this time would get to show off that they played. Now that one probably will never happen because they've already started bringing back rift cosmetics. Why would they stop now? But I want to go even further. Cosmetics are something that really cannot be that hard to create and add into the game for special occasions. Do y'all remember the Light in the Fog event that we had the last 2 years to show support for Puppers and his fight against ALS? Now Behavior did add a charm for Puppers during this event, but how cool would it be if they added a cosmetic, like a shirt with the Puppers logo on it, for everyone who donated to the cause, or even just for the streamers that participated? I feel like that would be so cool. And to take it a step further, what about the community cups that Behavior hosts? If you don't know, every month they host a community cup where players can compete in a giant bracket for a decent amount of prize money and iridescent shards. What if they gave away cosmetics to the winners and you could just flex that in a public match? I feel like that would be so cool. And what about devotions? Over the years, we all rack up many devotions to our player level, and we just can't really do anything with it. What if, for every 5 or 10 devotions, you got a cosmetic? Or maybe even just a charm that you could show off? I feel like a lot of people would really enjoy that. Okay, enough about cosmetics for now. Next, at number 7, I have prestige visibility in the lobby. Some of you may disagree with me here, but I really feel like killers just shouldn't be able to see what prestige a survivor is in the lobby. It just changes their playstyle. If a killer sees P100s, they're automatically going to think that they're sweaty and they might bring stronger perks, stronger add-ons, and just play in a different way than they originally would. Like I said in the intro, I play this game a lot. I have 3 P100 survivors already, and I feel like I just can't play them because killers like to treat me differently than just a normal survivor that's maybe like prestige 5 or 6. A lot of them will just ignore me all game and never chase me, and that's kind of the whole reason that I play DBD is because I love the chase. Now the prestiges will still be visible at the end game screen, so you can still flex them there. It's not like no one will ever see them. But but I just think killers really should not have that much information, especially when the survivors have zero information about the killer. The number 6 spot is going to go to updating perks. More specifically, I'm going to be looking at perks that have been nerfed or buffed, and then something else gets touched with the game that completely affects these perks. I'm not really sure how to word it, but I have 2 big perks that I want to focus on, the first of which being Decisive Strike. So they really nerfed this perk down from a 5-second stun to a 3-second stun, but then they also decided to change the whole conspicuous action thing to where if you touch a gen, if you touch an exit gate, if you heal, if you do anything, that you lose your decisive. And once they made that change, I feel like they can put decisive back to 5 seconds, because I think we can all agree a 3-second stun does not give you hardly any distance. This perk is just not good. And my second example is Save the Best for Last on the killer side. Save the Best for Last grants a 5% decreased successful basic attack cooldown per token every time you hit a non-obsession. And this perk has always been a strong perk, but it's never really been too overpowered until Behavior introduced a couple of base game mechanic changes. This was the update where they made just breaking pallets and breaking walls a little bit faster base kit. They also shortened the cooldown of basic attacks on killers by default. So when this happened, paired with Save the Best for Last with max stacks, I think it's just a little too much. I would like to see them either tone down the percentage that you get per stack, or maybe just cap it at 6 or 7 tokens instead of going all the way up to 8, because it is just insane, a killer with 8 Save the Best for Last stacks nowadays. And if you guys know me, you know I gotta get a word in about Dead Hard. They completely destroyed my perk, and while I know this is a very touchy subject for killer mains, I'm not gonna argue for it to be reverted, but I've seen people make an argument saying now that it's only 2-time use per game, they want the Dead Hard for distance back. I'm not even gonna go that far, but I feel like the perk is weak enough to where they can give it a little something extra. And at the very least, I would argue that you shouldn't have to mend. You dead hard, it should just be like taking a Medal of Man hit. You run away, you're all good, you can do a gen. Maybe saves you 10 seconds if you hit a successful dead hard. Just give the perk something, because it is just, it's really bad now, and I miss it. Coming in at number 5, I really wish Behavior would revert the flashlight timing changes. If you didn't know, a little bit ago, they changed flashlight save timing to where you can go super early and it'll just give you the save. Now, a lot of newer players might enjoy this because it makes it easier for them to hit saves, but wasn't it so much more rewarding when they were super hard and you tried to go for a flashlight save and then you finally hit it? The feeling was just amazing. I feel like they just made it way too easy. It's almost brainless. You don't even have to think. And I just feel like taking skill away from certain things is just not a good thing for your game. You don't want everyone to be able to just load up the game and be able to play it at the highest level. There needs to be certain things where you need to grind to get better, and I think that is one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats. It may get a little controversial for this number 4 slot, because we're talking about Bloodlust Changes. If you guys don't know, Bloodlust is a mechanic put in the game that speeds killers up the longer that they're in chase. If you're in chase for 15 seconds, you get a 5% movement speed bonus. Another 15 seconds is 10% movement speed, and another 15 would be 15% movement speed bonus. Now, I definitely agree that Bloodlust should be in the game to help killers win chases, but I think it's just working a little overtime. I think tier 2 and 3 of Bloodlust have gotta go. If you are consistently getting tier 2 or tier 3 of Bloodlust in your chases as killer, you're doing something wrong. You got bigger issues. You need to work on your chases, your mind games, because there is no way you should be in chase long enough without a hit to get Bloodlust 2 or 3, unless you're in the middle of Suffocation Pit. But that's a map design issue. That is a completely different topic that we're not even going to talk about today. But I think 1 tier of Bloodlust should be plenty to help a killer win a chase. But I'm not done yet with this topic. Right now, in Dead by Daylight, to lose Bloodlust, you either break a pallet, get a successful hit on a survivor, or use your power as a killer. I think there should be a 4th one on that list. If you as a survivor can somehow make a killer swing and miss, I think they should lose their Bloodlust. Whether it be baiting a window, 360ing, that is a skillful play where the killer messes up and they should be punished for it. They should not be rewarded with more speed. Okay, enough about Bloodlust. I rest my case. Now, I know I just told you guys I wouldn't be talking about map design issues, but you kind of got baited, because at number 3, we are talking about maps. I just want to look at some of the most recent map reworks that Behavior has. Just in the past month, they reworked the Red Forest maps, and everyone was excited for this because the Red Forest maps were way too big for way too long. But when they reworked them, they didn't even touch the size. The maps are still way too big, and they're even worse than before because they added a bunch of clutter and a bunch of rocks, and it's all just foggy. It doesn't even look appealing to the eye. I feel like if we're doing graphical reworks of maps, we gotta be going in the other direction. They gotta be getting better. So I'd really like to see them revisit it and try to clean up their mistakes. And I also want to talk about the Haddonfield rework. Ever since this map got reworked, it has been my least favorite map in the game, by far. Haddonfield used to be a survivor's playground with infinites in every house. I understand why they had to rework it, but now Haddonfield has like 2 or 3 pallets in the street. So once they're gone, the street is just a complete dead zone, and the houses just have a bunch of windows that really have no mind game to them. It's just brainlessly holding W. So a survivor's option is go into the middle of the street and die because you have no pallets, or go hold W through a window 3 times until it blocks off and then you're dead. Neither of which are fun for either the survivor or the killer. Now, while this map looks great graphically, gameplay-wise, it is just incredibly boring, and I think they need to revisit it. Now, I could talk more about maps all day, Eyrie of Crows, Garden of Joy, but I'll spare you guys. Mostly because I'm super excited to talk about our number 2 spot, which is just rewards for grinding the game. Now, I'm not talking about the rewards you get for leveling up the Rift, or the Blood Point rewards you get for doing tome challenges. I'm talking about if you do a certain amount of one thing, you get a reward for it. This is mainly inspired by the Call of Duty camos. I don't know if you guys played Call of Duty growing up. I was addicted to that game, and there was always something to do. Grinding for camos for certain guns, you would need a certain amount of headshots, and then you would need to get long shots and kills with no attachments, all that sort of thing. And in reward, you got certain camos. It was just always something to do. In Dead by Daylight, sometimes they feel stale, like there's just not much you could do. Could you imagine if they added, even if they're just charms, a cosmetic for getting a certain amount of escapes? If you escape 1,000 trials or complete 1,000 generators, they give you something that you can show off to other people. This would give people so much motivation to play the game and keep grinding. It could even go as far as to giving people rewards for hitting 5, 10, 20, 100, 200 flashlight saves. You could get like a different color flashlight, or the beam that comes out of the flashlight could be a different color. There are just endless ideas to keep people motivated to play the game, and I just feel like they're missing out on so many possibilities. I'm gonna rapid fire off some quick honorable mentions before we get to the number 1 spot. I think it would be really cool if Huntress could have her own custom hatchet cosmetics, or for Twins to have the own Victor cosmetics. I feel like Oni should be able to be stunned out of his power with a pallet, very similar to how Plague gets stunned out of a power. Hopefully we get to see Blight's add-ons get nerfed sometime in the next decade, and I'd like to see them rework hook bubbles. When someone gets hooked, it completely blocks your screen and you can't see if a Huntress is throwing a hatchet at you, you can't see where your teammates are going. It's just kind of a pain in the ass. But finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, and yes, I'm talking more about cosmetics, we need to have rewards for prestiging our characters. This past year, Behavior redid the system of prestiging characters to where we can go all the way up to Prestige 100. And what do we get for it? There has to be an answer coming soon, right? My idea, ever since this update, is that they should reskin Legacy. Now, of course, the people from 2016 will be able to keep their original Legacy. No one else will have that. But what if they just switched up the color? Made it red, made it blue, made it green. And for Prestige 50, you get the Legacy shirt. Prestige 75, you get the Legacy pants. And Prestige 100, you get the Legacy headpiece. This would just be so cool, and really motivate players to get their characters to high prestiges. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 list. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys agree or disagree with any of my picks, or if you think there's anything else that should have been in this top 10. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.